Let me ask you about politics. I read the comments by the former Vice President, General Hayden. Do you think that it is responsible for the Vice President to criticize President Obama as letting America's guard down by failing to treat this fight as a war on terror?
I'm not going to comment on the current president or the former vice president, David. I do know that this is an important national issue. It does become part of the political debate, but I will offer you a professional's view on the current atmosphere, the highly charged atmosphere in Washington. I would ask on behalf of the community of which I used to be a part for everyone to kind of calm down a little bit, stop hyperventilating, let John take this study, look at this in detail to learn what we can learn from it without a sense of attribution or accusation. I mean, these are
that would apply.
tough
That would apply to
challenges.
Bush administration officials as well, because I seem to remember covering the White House when Bush administration officials thought it was counterproductive and indeed hurtful and harmful to the country to have Democrats questioning whether it was the patriotism or the overall wisdom of some of these national security activities.
David, there are broad policy issues here that deserve intense political debate. We should let the American system handle that. But the Secretary brought up an interesting one. What's the balance the American people want between their privacy and their security? You can't just keep coming back to the intel guys after bad things happen and expect them to perform miracles 100% of the time if we don't address these more serious fundamental questions as a nation. That's part of the political process, and the intel community needs to be a customer of those decisions.
But your message is, left or right, Republican, Democrat, don't politicize this battle. Is that your point?
There are policy questions that need to be resolved through our political process.
Do you believe the president is adequately confronting this threat of terrorism?
I am heartened by the fact that the president consistently says we are at war with al-Qaeda and its affiliates.
So my question is, do you believe he's adequately prosecuting this war against al-Qaeda and terrorists?
There are honest differences. Clearly, this past summer, with regard to some CIA activity, interrogation memos from the Office of Legal Counsel, the CIIG report, the question of a special prosecutor, I actually think that's harmed our overall effort. All right, but that's a personal view. That's a decision the president has to make. We should not overly politicize things that are essentially security in nature, but we do need political guidance that will be the product of our political process.
Secretary Chertoff, you told NBC's Pete Williams, our justice correspondent this past week, you were concerned that there was a return in this government to a pre-9/11 mentality. Explain that.
Well, I'm concerned that we don't use all the tools on the table. And here I have to say I agree with Mike and I agree with John. I think the president has repeatedly articulated his belief we're at war. Nevertheless, there are elements of the strategy we have to ask questions about. Is it sensible, for example, to bring Khalid Sheikh Mohammed to New York out of a foreign area in order to try him there? I think that's a fateful decision and one that I hope that the Attorney General has carefully thought through. There are other elements, in some of which Mike Hayden's mentioned, which I think maybe send a little bit of a conflicting message. So this is a great opportunity for the administration to make sure that they are not leaving anything on the table that could be used to defend the American people.
Finally, do you have confidence in your successor?
I do.
Secretary Napolitano?
I do. I've known her for a long time. She's got a good skill set. She's got great experience. Her heart's in the right place. And I heartily endorse her.
We'll leave it there. Thank you both very much for being here. Up next, terror, unemployment, health care.